Welcome to Daniel's Inferno. My name is Daniel. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have a moment, please like the video, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below to join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Today's video, we are going to be talking about the SNC-Lavalin scandal that has plagued the Trudeau administration for the last 3 to 4 years. So SNC-Lavalin is an engineering giant in Quebec, Canada. It's a very large employer, about 10,000 employees internationally, many of them Canadian. So it offers a lot of revenue, a lot of jobs. It is a very important staple business here in Canada. They were, SNC-Lavalin, accused of corruption with the Gaddafi government in Libya. They were accused of paying kickbacks to Gaddafi and those underneath him in his government and his son. They were accused of giving them money so that these individuals in Libya would steer contracts towards them, thus giving them more money and more business, more jobs. So, I have a timeline here, and then there was some breaking news today that we're going to go over. So what has happened so far in the SNC-Lavalin scandal? So Justin Trudeau has violated conflict of interest rules by attempting to interfere in the corruption case against the Quebec engineering giant SNC-Lavalin, the ethics commissioner has found. This is what it said in the report. The evidence showed there were many ways in which Mr. Trudeau, either directly or through the actions of those under his direction, sought to influence the Attorney General, the Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion said in a report released Wednesday. Now this is back in August of this year. 6 months after the scandal emerged, the report was released. The allegation that former Attorney General Jody-Wilson Raybould, who is an amazing woman, a Canadian hero, was pressured by key officials in the Trudeau administration to resolve criminal charges against SNC-Lavalin through a new legal tool comparable to a plea deal, has rocked Trudeau's Liberal government. It led to the eventual removal of Wilson Raybould and then Treasury Board President Jane Philpott from the Liberal caucus, the resignation of Trudeau's right-hand man, Gerald Butts, and the early retirement of the country's top bureaucrat, Michael Wernick. Trudeau told reporters on Wednesday he has accepted responsibility for what happened, but can't apologize because, as he has maintained throughout the affair, his actions were aimed at trying to protect jobs and the Canadian economy. So, Trudeau is arguing that his actions, though illegal, he won't apologize for them because his illegal actions were an attempt to protect the Canadian economy. Like that is somehow a defense. That's like stealing bread and saying, well, I had a starving family, so I had to, or they were going to starve. And I mean, that's a much more extreme case. That's life or death. The Canadian economy would not topple over because of the SNC-Lavalin scandal if they were brought to justice. Jody-Wilson Raybould wanted to bring them to justice. She refused to bend under the pressure of Trudeau and his cronies, and that is why she is a Canadian hero in my mind and in the mind of many Canadians. So we're going to go through a small timeline of the controversy. 2015, RCMP lays corruption and fraud charges against the engineering and construction firm over allegations it used bribery to get government business in Libya. The company says the charges are without merit and stem from alleged reprehensible deeds by former employees who left the company long ago. A conviction could bar the company from bidding on Canadian government business, potentially devastating it. The Liberals win the election, taking power from the Conservatives. 2 weeks later, Trudeau names Jody-Wilson Raybould Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, and first Indigenous person to hold the post, which combines duties as a politician and a legal officer. Excuse me for one moment while I have a sip of water. So now 2018, 3 years later, Liberals table a budget bill that includes a change to the criminal code, allowing remediation agreements, plea bargain-like deals between prosecutors and accused corporations, in which they can avoid criminal proceedings by making reparations for previous bad behavior. SNC-Lavalin had lobbied for such provision in Canadian law. So the company, SNC-Lavalin, lobbies the Liberal government, and they get what they want, which is an amendment to the criminal code which allows for remediation agreements. So these plea bargain-like deals. So Jody-Wilson Raybould and SNC-Lavalin, after this law was passed, could have met in mediation and avoided going to court by some small token reparation paid by SNC-Lavalin, instead of what should have happened, which is criminal charges. All right, so now we're in spring 2018. The bill is yet to pass. SNC-Lavalin contacts Public Prosecution Service lawyers to ensure they have all relevant information for a possible invitation to negotiate a remediation agreement. During the next 3 months, in response to requests from prosecutors, SNC-Lavalin provides detailed information it sees as making a strong case for an agreement. Prosecution Service tells SNC-Lavalin it will not invite the firm to negotiate a remediation agreement. Now we're in September 2018. Trudeau and Wilson Raybould discuss the SNC-Lavalin file. As Attorney General, Wilson could overrule the Prosecution Service, directing it to negotiate an agreement with the company. Trudeau later says Wilson asked him if he planned to tell her what to do concerning the prosecution, a conversation that he says ended with him telling her any decision was hers alone. Bull. That is complete and utter horse. So now, SNC-Lavalin, this is a day later, representatives meet with Privy Council Clerk Michael Wernick, Canada's most senior public service, and Finance Minister Bill Morneau to discuss issues concerning justice and law enforcement. So now, 3 days later, remediation agreement provisions come into legal force. The Prosecution Service confirms in writing it will not invite SNC-Lavalin to negotiate a remediation agreement, a decision the company challenges in federal court. That challenge is still ongoing. So now they're issuing news saying it strongly disagrees with the Director of Prosecution's position and remains open and committed to negotiating a remediation agreement. The shares fall nearly 14%, closing at $44.86 on the Toronto Stock Exchange. That's the lowest close since 2016. So now they're starting to meet with senior advisors to the Prime Minister's office. See, so we have twice here, here, and here. They meet with different individuals from the Prime Minister's office to discuss law and justice enforcement. Now, in December, according to the Prime Minister, Wilson Raybould raises the remediation case with Gerald Butts, the Prime Minister's principal secretary, and he tells her to talk to Wernick, the Privy Council clerk. So Trudeau shuffles his cabinet after the resignation of Scott Brisson. Wilson is moved from Justice to Veterans Affairs, widely seen as a demotion. David Lametti, a Montreal MP and former law professor, becomes the Justice Minister. Wilson posts a long letter outlining her record as Justice Minister and noting a great deal of work remains to be done towards reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. So now, the Globe and Mail in February of this year cites that report that Trudeau's aides attempted to press Wilson, while Attorney General, to intervene in the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin, and that exasperation with her lack of cooperation was one reason for shuffling her out of the justice portfolio. Trudeau denies impropriety. Wilson says solicitor-client privilege prevents her from speaking about dealings she had on the case while Attorney General. So as we can see, this goes on for a little bit still. I think you're getting the gist of it at this point. There was quite a lot of impropriety on the Prime Minister's part and people underneath the Prime Minister. And it's fairly obvious that he pressured her and she said no. And by saying no, she was demoted. Excuse me again. So, this was today. SNC-Lavalin, the jury in corruption trial finds Babawi guilty on all counts. So now, this individual, Babawi, is an he is an ex-official, an ex-executive to SNC-Lavalin. He was made the fall man, essentially. Instead of Trudeau, or anyone under Trudeau, going to court and facing criminal charges and criminal prosecution, SNC-Lavalin basically assigned this individual as the person to take all responsibility for what happened. And so someone is taking responsibility, but is it the right person? I mean, if anyone has seen V for Vendetta, they'll know that the government in V for Vendetta perpetrated an awful terror attack and then assigned 3 people as fault individuals for the terror attack, a false flag. Now, this obviously is not as extreme as a terror attack, and I'm not trying to compare the two at all. My point is that in the movie and in real life here in Canada, we have people in government abusing their power to get what they want and then avoiding criminal prosecution. That is unacceptable. That is not acceptable in a democratic Western society where every individual is subject to the law. If I do something illegal, if you do something illegal, anyone is subject to the law, no matter their station, no matter religion, no matter their creed, no matter what they do for a living. Economic status, nothing. It does not matter. The law goes equally to all of us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Daniel's Inferno.